Like a guest you don't want coming to your house but just can't seem to stop. Today, Irene showed up at Rye's front door. Like a pesky mother-in-law you can't escape, Irene was overbearing, and although she was at times passive, mostly aggressive, and at times just downright nasty. Perhaps it was the long trip she'd made from North Carolina, or all the baggage she brought with her from the Jersey Shore. But some Rye residents are willing to give Irene a break. While others are left to clean up the damage her unwelcome visit caused, the economic toll from Irene in our city won't be known for some time, and whether Irene wasn't as bad as you expected or was worse than you hoped, she has left her own lasting image on each and every one of us.
I think luckily it maybe wasn't as horrible as we expected it to be. We didn't, just not even losing power was a huge shock, and we're so grateful.
It's too familiar after all the work that was done on this street. We now see it happening again, and it's just a shame.
4 years ago, twice it hit. If you remember, we had those major storms and flooding that was over here within 6 weeks of each other, 7 weeks of each other.
We're outside here on Elm Place, and earlier today, this whole entire street was flooded, and Morgan's Fish House behind me, they were flooded as well. They had to actually remove the tables out of their restaurant. Their basement was flooded. We don't even have a time frame of when they're going to reopen. There's a cleanup crew also behind me. They're trying to just remove some debris, leftover debris in the street from all the flooding. Extensive damage in certain areas of Rye.
We had a flood just like we did 6 years ago, and we were a little more prepared this time, but we have our basement is completely flooded. The dining room at Morgan's is completely underwater, and we're working right now to try to pump the water out. We're just trying to clean up, wait for the storm to finish and clean up the mess. We hope to get Ruby's open by tomorrow night. Morgan's, I'm not sure.
Well, I think it's amazing that we've still got this flood problem after all the years we've been talking about flood control in Rye, and sure doesn't look like flood control to me.
This area is going to be susceptible to this until the town does something about the brook over there. And evidently there's a lot of people that are stubborn and don't want to allow certain change. It's going to make it impossible for people like this to get the proper insurance to be able to put the businesses back online. It's a shame.
We're standing here at Rye High School, and behind me is the turf field. You could see that they took a precaution before the storm and put a tarp over the field to try and see if they could prevent some of the flooding damage. It didn't seem to work. Some are asking the question whether or not they should move that field and make it a grass field instead of turf. Does this storm finally answer that question?
I was at the high school, and I'm wondering about that turf field. I mean, might be time to go back to grass.
These are just some of the branches that fell from the trees last night. The wind is actually stronger now than it was last night at the brunt of the storm. Right now, we're probably getting gusts of about 30 to 40 miles per hour. Last night, maybe gusts 20, 25 miles an hour, but now you could feel one. Here's one right now.
Well, we're kind of shocked. Like, our football field is flooded, and a lot of the stores in town are closed. So it's kind of just a shock to us. Like, we don't really know what to do. We're kind of just walking around, just looking in awe, like seeing our brook is flooded over.
Truth be told, I'm blown away. I was down at Playland. I mean, the waves are hitting the pier. I'm hopeful that there's not too much damage. I'm looking here, and I mean, Blind Brook is like a raging river here. I mean, this is really, it's disturbing. It's sad.
To think that less than 8 hours ago, these rocks were covered by surf. Water is now receded, the tide has gone out, and everyone seems to be safe for now. But remember, with all the crazy weather we've had, earthquake shocks earlier this week, Hurricane Irene, remember that hurricane season lasts until November. Reporting for Rye Witness News, I'm Richard Giacovas.